Hi folks, welcome to the shop. So I wanted to quickly show a really simple, cheap to make, you can do it in literally an afternoon, foam cutter. To demonstrate the hot foam cutter, I'll show you. I'll let it heat up for a couple of seconds. Piece of styrofoam, any piece of styrofoam, it'll make really clean cuts. Fairly quickly, really easily through styrofoam. Look at the edge on that cut. No mess, no piling of styrofoam bits everywhere. If I actually did it on the table, you can see it cuts through several inches just as easily. I can follow any line quite easily. Beautiful clean cuts. Now the foam cutter itself, really simple to make with household stuff you might have just laying around right now. And let me quickly show you what this is made of. First of all, the heart of this particular machine is an old model railroad transformer. Now, this one is really old. It's probably from like the 50s or 60s. I've had this thing in the attic for literally decades before I decided to do this. And it is simple to wire up, but even if you don't have an old train literally you can use any transformer at all. This one maxes out at I think about 11 or 12 volts. Safe. You can touch either these two things with your fingers when it's on, not feel anything. Oops, let me show you. I'm putting both fingers on either of these leads, don't feel anything. It's DC, so it's coming out. It's like touching the end of a battery. It won't do anything. You can also do this with a 9-volt battery if you're really desperate. Anything that'll convert AC to DC will let you plug it in, which is nice. Before we get into that, let me tell you about the basic build of this. It's pretty simple. Literally all this is 2x4s, which were just almost they were scrap 2x4s that I had laying around, but I cut these to length. I think these are about 6 inches or so. The 2x4s are simply drilled and screwed into this piece of wood that I had laying around. It was just a little, what is this, maybe a 14-inch by 10-inch piece of wood that I had laying around. I had a bunch of these. These are old MDF board, melamine covered, I think they were shelves for something. But you can get these literally at the side of the road. Any old piece of furniture that you see that's from IKEA or something like that, you can find these boards. And the nice thing is it's a very, very smooth, very easy surface to work on. The next thing, these are simply 2x2s. I just had some scrap 2x2s laying around, and literally all I did is drilled up from the bottom through this into this and ran a drywall screw. This has been covered up since by this piece of board, but the drywall screw goes right up into the center here. And the same thing on the top. I put 2 so it doesn't spin or move, but it's literally just 2 drywall screws running vertically like this into this. Now for the wiring up and how this actually works. Pretty simple. Whenever you have DC current going into a wire, which I know it's hard to see, but there's a wire right here if you can hear it. All I did was ran the wire into, I took a simple saw and sawed a cut into this piece of wood. Doesn't matter, the wire does not get nearly hot enough to do anything to the wood. As you guys can see, this wood is unburned, and I've had this set up on this piece of wood for about 12 years now. Has never gotten hot enough to do that. It will get hot to the touch as you're cutting. So in a nutshell, this is how it works. With direct current, you have a positive and a negative pole. That's it. So the positive pole, quite simply, I have a short wire that goes from here to here, and you can see here's my wire wrapped around this. It goes from here through this groove that just kind of helps it be centered, through the hole in the base here, out of the hole in the base, over to this wire. That's it. Then I have the other wire, which is in green here. This is my negative pole off the transformer. I drilled holes just to keep the wire kind of up and out of the way. But I drilled a hole through this 2x4 with just a little 1/8" drill bit. Ran the wire through this. Ran the wire through the other 2x4. Ran it up the pole, and just again to kind of clamp it and keep it out of the way, I put a hole here in the top of this little 2x2, so it runs up through there and kind of clamps it in place so this doesn't wiggle. Easier way to do this, I think, would put zip ties along here. That'll hold it in place. It'd be out of the way, no problem. Then the top here, I have the wire ending just like I did with the other one. Remember, wood is not a conductor, so I have the wire going to a screw in the top, and then this spring. The spring is important because what the spring does, it's a very loose spring. What the spring does is as the wire heats up, it gets looser. It expands when it heats up. So when it does that, you need this little spring to be able to pull the tension on the wire up. Now you can do this several ways. You can do it like I did with just putting this hole through it, or if you have a compression spring where it wants to be open and you can compress it smaller. This is a tension spring, meaning it wants to be compressed, but I've pulled it a little bit and wrapped the wire around the one end of the spring. I know it's difficult for you to see, but the wire is simply looped through, twisted around, down here and out. Now if you look very closely, I'll try to put some backing on it and bring you in. If you look very closely at the wire, you may be able to see that the wire is kind of wavy. When it heats up, that wave tends to even out and tends to get straighter. But when it's cool, it's kind of got this wave to it. The reason for that is because of the type of wire that I decided to use. Oddly, I was desperate. I literally had a job to do where I had to cut a bunch of foam into shape cleanly and easily, and I needed a wire. Two things you can use that are really easy to come by. One, easiest, if you happen to have a friend who's a musician, particularly a guitarist, guitar string. Not the heavy like E string, but a much thinner like A string or something like that, I think. I don't really know. But the single strand string that's just straight, that way you won't have that waviness when it's cool. But the other one that I found that is always available for everybody is a bicycle cable, bike brake cable, or anything else. These are usually stainless steel. It's very tough. In the multi-strand mode that it comes in, is obviously way too thick for our use. So let me show you what I've been doing with it. Try to get this to focus. All you do is unwind, grab a strand, and start unwrapping it. Unravel it as long as you need. I keep a spare of just dead bike cable. You can literally find this for free in almost any garage, anywhere. It's a broken bicycle cable. If you can't, I guarantee you can go to any bike store in the world and they will give you broken bike cable. They've got it laying in a garbage can, I'm sure. I put a little binder clip on here so I can put the spare wire up out of the way and always have spare wire if I need it. The wire will break after a long time. Now, like I said, I've had this for about 10 or 12 years and I've gone through one wire. Two things to keep in mind. If you're cutting, let's see, regular styrofoam, that is what we call bead foam. You guys can see that there's these big individual beads in here. That foam cuts really easily. So I will go ahead and show you. I'll cut like an edge. You can cut it edgewise. See, can you see this? Okay. Cut it edgewise. Totally clean cut. Really easy. Or, if I tilt you down a little bit here, You can cut it on the table. Make a super clean cut. You can cut any design you want. You can cut circles. If you want to cut a circle, put it on a point and spin it. This isn't going to be a very straight circle because of the way that I'm quickly doing this to show you. Any circle, any shape I want. If I want to cut letters out or wavy patterns, anything I want. You can cut it real easily. You can cut any angle. You could even put grooves in it if you want. Do whatever you want. It cuts super easy and fairly quickly. So, cutting things is really easy with the bead foam. That is the foam that has these individual kind of beads on it. And it's white. This is the typical packing foam you can see almost anywhere. The foam that is harder to cut, but it still will cut very cleanly, is the blue or pink insulation foam. That is, I think I have a piece laying around here, so I can't find it. But that is expanded polystyrene. That's a little bit different. I'm sorry, that is extruded polystyrene, EPS foam. It's a little tougher, so you have to go a little slower. But it'll still cut absolutely clean in any shape you want, in any direction you want, without any problem. And like I said, the wire cools off really quick. I'm touching the wire right now. It was just on. You just saw it cut. It's totally clean. It's totally cool now. Cool to the touch. When it's on, it will burn you. But you'll know it as soon as you touch it. But like I said, I've never had a problem with the brake cable breaking or anything like that. The guitar string will also last a very long time. There's a different way. If you have a compression spring, you can literally drill a hole through, put washers on either side of the compression spring, and put right up through the middle a eye screw, an eye bolt. Right through the middle, put a washer, spring, washer, nut, and connect that to your negative. And the other end to this. You won't have to cut a hole through here or anything else. It'll pull that tension when it gets hot, and it'll give you a good clean cut. All right, hope you guys like it. If you did like it, please consider subscribing. And if you want to, check out some of my other videos. Thank you very much for your attention, and I appreciate your time.